Okay, hello guys. First of all, I just apologise. I'm not actually using a microphone that's attached to headphones or anything like that, so there will be a bit of background noise from my mouse, etc. But hopefully that won't get in the way. The first thing I'd just like to talk about briefly is my UI. I have a couple of questions about it. I am using Bartender for my action bars. I do use Recount, but with patch 4.2 I haven't actually got it to work yet, so I'm afraid you won't be able to see the DPS I'm actually putting out, but hopefully that'll be fixed soon. My minimap is currently Chinchilla, and the unit frames I'm using are AG unit frames. That's my unit frame, debuff shown underneath, pet unit frame, this is my target, that's the target of my target, and this is the target of my target's target. More useful if I'm healing, but also useful to see if, say I'm targeting the boss, if he's targeting the tank, and who of course the tank is targeting as well. Yes. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, oh yes of course, sorry, and now you have got grid down here as well, which will expand to fill a 5x5 square, so I can see up to 25 people at once. Okay, so not forgetting, the first thing we're going to go through is the buffs. We should always be using Fell Armour, Soul Link for our pet to reduce any damage, and Dark Intent. Now the best target for this, currently, probably a Shadow Priest for an increase in DPS. Unfortunately, obviously I haven't got a Shadow Priest or anyone else to use it with, so I'll be putting it on my pet for this test. However, normally we put on a Shadow Priest because the increased haste does wonders for them. It's good for us, but it's even better for them. The healer ranking, if you are going to use it on the healers, first priority healer you'd be going for, based on the amount of crits per minute, number 1 would be a Restoration Druid, followed by a Holy Priest, followed by a Resto Shaman, followed by a Holy Priest tank healing, then followed by the Disc Priest and the Holy Paladin, unfortunately who don't crit quite as much. Now to the actual rotation. Basically, we're going to be putting all our dots up and then refreshing them based on the priority order. When we have nothing else to do, we'll be casting Shadow Bolt. And if we have a little bit of spare time between casts, we'll be casting Life Tap to get some mana back. The priority we're going to be following will be Haunt, then Demon Soul, and when we cast Demon Soul, we'll also be using any unused trinkets. I haven't got any at the moment, so I won't be doing that. But if you do, it might be useful to macro them in, so use them at the same time as Demon Soul. So we've got Haunt, Demon Soul, Bane of Doom, Corruption, Unstable Affliction, followed by Shadow Bolt. If you are in melee range, it is the DPS increase to use Shadow Flame on cooldown, but we'll go through that later. And if you are below 25%, you'll be using Drained Soul instead of the Shadow Bolt, but I'll also show you that later as well. Okay, so here is the normal rotation with no movement and not below 25%. Yes, okay. I will be casting actually the Optimal Opener, although that is a priority order. The Optimal Opener as of now is Shadow Bolts, meaning you get 2 stacks of the Shadow Embrace by the time you start casting your dots. And I'll be casting Curse of the Elements just after I cast Shadow Bolt, so hopefully it hits just after the curse is applied. Okay, let's see what this looks like. I put those on in the wrong order there, but it doesn't make much difference. Spamming Shadow Bolt, Haunt is off cooldown, instant Shadow Bolts, always nice. 2-second cast, so I can see that it's going to be about 2 seconds to establish Unstable Affliction. Life Tap, so I've got a bit of spare time before the Haunt. Another free Shadow Bolt. Nothing to do, spamming Shadow Bolts, another free Shadow Bolt. Spare time, Life Tap, Haunt's off cooldown. Going to refresh Unstable Affliction just after this. So we're aiming to replace Unstable Affliction just before it falls off. Haunt is refreshing Corruption as it hits, and Bane of Doom has such a long duration, that it doesn't need refreshing too often. There we go, and one of my Bane of Doom minions being spawned there. Yeah, a lot of free Shadow Bolts. This is quite a... Well, I wish I could see the DPS is pulling out, but unfortunately we can't. Okay, yeah, so that's a basic rotation with no movement and above 25%. Tell my pet to stop attacking for the minute. No assist function, by the way, very useful. loving it so far. And also, I must say, the new Soul Harvest animation, loving it. Very cool. Okay, next what we'll go over is if there is any light movement in the fight, or any movement at all in fact. Obviously we only have a few options of things when we're casting on the move, so the best option, if you can't life tap, or if you already have full mana, or say your health is too low and you don't want to risk dying, then what you should be casting is Fell Flame. So I'll leave my pet on passive for this, just so you can see. So we'll get our dots up in the correct order this time. Oh, that probably wasn't it. Apologies. Okay, so we've got 3 stacks of Shadow Embrace, haunts up. Okay, now we have to move Fell Flame. And it's just that simple, life tap, nothing else to do. Once off cooldown, perhaps something's chasing you, move out of the way, Fell Flame, life tap to get some mana back perhaps. It doesn't matter, as long as you're doing something on the move, always be casting something. The worst thing you can do to your DPS is to do nothing. As long as you're always casting something, that's going to be the biggest DPS increase you can do. Okay, next thing that we'll go over will be what happens below 25%. It doesn't change much. All we're doing now is using Drained Soul instead of Shadow Bolt, but Refreshing Results still has higher priority, and things will still be on cooldown when you need to refresh it. Sorry about that, had a brief parental interruption. Okay, yes, so below 25%, as I said, we'll be casting Drained Soul as our filler instead of Shadow Bolt. So what we'll do, we'll get all our dots up again. Okay, there we go, everything's up. We won't bother with doing Soul. 3 Shadow Bolts. Okay, so now we're going to use Drain Soul as our filler. We ignore the quartz, however you say it, cast bars. What we're going to be doing, we're going to be looking at the ticks on the right on Forte Exorcist. And we can see once Haunts off cooldown or Unstable Affliction needs replenishing, or we have a free Shadow Bolt, we're waiting for the next Drain Soul tick, just like that, and then we'll be refreshing them. And as soon as you've done that, back to Drain Soul. Unstable Affliction needs replenishing soon, wait for the next tick. There we go, and then Haunts off cooldown as well, so we'll cast that. It's very important to cast Haunt on cooldown during this phase because it is the only thing in refreshing your Shadow Embrace debuff. Okay, here we go, Haunt is replenishing, wait for the next tick, there it is. Unstable Affliction is replenishing, there we go. Okay, that's pretty much it. And that's how you do damage below 25%. So, while that might be most classes' panic phase, well, let's actually get a pretty relaxed time. No button spamming to do. The only other thing we haven't covered is what to do if you can stand in melee range. Okay, so during that phase, what we'll do if, say, the boss doesn't do any AoE strikes, etc., or it's safe to stand behind him, then what we'll do, get a lot of debuffs up again. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to be using Shadow Flame on cooldown. There we go. Should have refreshed Haunt once, so it's not staying in range. Just going to wait till Shadow Flames come off cooldown, and then we're going to use that, and that will give us a slight DPS increase. There we go. And this is pretty much all there is to it. Okay, I hope this has been somewhat helpful. The only other thing I have to talk about, pretty simple, basically, use the Fell Hunter. It's the best DPS pet we can possibly use at the moment. Actually, as of 4.2, Drain Life did receive a 25% nerf, so now Shadow Bolt is definitely the best filler for any spec. Sorry, not for any spec, for the Affliction spec, of course. Yes, so we'll be using that instead of Drain Life in just about every situation now. Of course, still use Drain Life if you are a little bit low on health, but apart from that, you should be using Shadow Bolt and the Fell Hunter. And yes, I hope this has been helpful, and I will try to do a destruction guide or something, hopefully sometime in the future. The only other thing I haven't mentioned, sorry, this add-on here, the spell timer, and the cooldown bar I've got, that is Forte Exorcist. Very useful for tracking your dots and also shows the ticks when they're going off, etc. Yes, I definitely recommend you get some of these add-ons. It's definitely Forte Exorcist if nothing else. I hope this has been helpful, and goodbye.